Students, welcome back to the new session of cake formula balancing. Now, last time when we had done with the session, we were on to the cake making processes. We understood what are the important care to be taken while you are making the cakes. We also did the faults and remedies that have been used in the cake making. Today we are going to do with the cake formula balancing. Now, what do you understand by the cake formula balancing? Cake formula balancing is the correct amount of ingredients that are to be utilized for balancing or making the cake in the right texture that is required by you will be termed as a cake formula balancing. Now, what is a cake formula? The cake formula is the right proportion of ingredients to be utilized as per the required recipes by the chef. Now, every individual has a different chef has a different variety of baking processes and addition of ingredients and the variations into your ingredients that are utilized for making the cake. Now, cake formula also depends upon the ingredient. Now, these are the basic ingredients which will play a very major role in cake formula balancing. First of all, butter, powdered sugar, milk, refined flour, sugar, vanilla extract, and creams with the liquids, that is, fruit juices and milk. Now, these ingredients play a very vital part into the making of the final products of the cake. Why? These in the various ratios can make your cake or spoil your cake. So, the cake formula balancing will be upon the amount of ingredient that has to be used and what are the roles that these ingredients play. For example, we take the first ingredient that is the refined flour. The most important ingredient that is utilized in the cake formula balancing is refined flour. Now, the amount of refined flour that has to be taken depends upon the recipes of the cake that you are going to produce. If you are going to produce a Genoese sponge, you require like 450 483 grams of refined flour. So, the recipe formula and balancing will depend upon the chef's formula, how much you want to make the cake, what is the size of the cake, or the number of cakes. So, the weighing of the refined flour depend upon the number of packs you are going to make from the cake. Now, type of flour will again depend upon the type of cake that you are going to make. You have the cake that you make with a lean flour or low protein flour. You want a cake, you have to have the low gluten flour so that you get the better cake. Then, when you move on to the powdered sugar, sugar of various ranges, refined sugar, brown sugar, you have the powdered sugar, you have the icing sugar. Now various chefs depends and demands for various types of sugar being utilized in the making of the cake. You want a nice close texture, you utilize grainy sugar and the creaming has been done with the butter and then you have a nice airy cake. So the type of sugar utilized in the cake making formula will be depending on the type of final products. Then you have using of the fat, that is the butter, margarine or oil. Now, if you use more of butter, you have more of flavoring. Use more of margarine, you have less of flavoring, but the shortening is strong. If you use more of oil or the recipe depends for oil, then you have a stable product with the shelf life improvement. So butter has a less amount of shelf life because of the source from where it is being got, and margarine has an additional improved shelf life. Then we move on to the milk, water or the fruit juices that have been added to the cake. Now, as we know that depending upon the type of cake you want to make, you will have the ratio and the variation of your liquid that has been added to your cake formula. You want the cake to be rich, then you add milk. You add milk with the addition amount of water or juices. If you want the uh, cake to be sweeter, then you add a sugar syrup also. You can add honey. So again, this plays a very vital part in the cake formula balancing. Then we move on to the addition of sugar. As you know, whole sugar is a very important part playing in the creaming part. So butter and creaming sugar will give a very lighter version of cake to your bakery chef formula. Then we move on to the essences. The lesser the essence, the better it is. You don't put more of essences which will overpower your cake. So the lesser the essence, more it is. Try always to use more of natural flavoring agent rather than the processed and chemical flavoring agents, because they have their own value and their own essence and thus improves the quality. Then we move on to the sour cream. Sour cream is another rich ingredient that is used in the cake to improve the nutritional value of the cake. So you utilize it upon the recipe when given by you by the chef, depending upon 10 to 15 grams or 20 grams, and some rich cakes might be even demanding for addition of 50 grams of sour cream for 250 grams of batter. So last ingredient that we are going to do today is the baking powder. Now the amount of baking powder to be added in the cake will depend upon how much has been demanding and how much rising you want. You don't push too much of the baking powder, neither you put too less. It is upon the recipe that is demanding for the baking powder. So the baking powder helps in the rising of the cake. So you put only that much that is required by the recipe. Students, thank you so much for paying attention to the very important subtopic of cake making, that is cake formula balancing. Thanks so much. Have a nice day. If you have any doubts, please do feel free to call me or write onto the comment box down. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. See you all. Bye.